Hey guys, this is Tama, and today we're gonna do some Q&A from Facebook. I got a lot of really great replies. I tried to film this yesterday, but there was like a huge crew repaving the road, so a little delay of game, and here we are today. If you were one of the people who submitted on Facebook, thanks a lot for your question. If not, maybe I'll do this again, or you can just leave a question in the comments if I don't answer your question in this video. But let's get started. So just for some background, I had LPR for several years, actually quite a lot of years. And I didn't know that's what it was for the longest time. Finally, I was diagnosed with LPR, I was put on PPIs, and then I got a little bit better for a while, and then I got really, really way worse. So eventually I had full-on GERD and just terrible reflux that I could feel all the time. And then about 2 years ago, I just sat down, did tons of research, and figured out what the core causes of reflux are. And I had been doing all these different things to try to heal myself, and none of them were working. Some of them would kind of have a little bit of effect, but for the most part, I just felt terrible all the time, and I lost my voice for ages, and I was just getting worse and worse. Anyway, so finally I figured out what to do, and I basically have no reflux at all now. I have no symptoms of reflux. It's like I don't have reflux at all. So it's really, it doesn't have to be a lifetime event. I do have to eat a little bit differently, but we'll get into that in a minute because I think someone asked about that in the questions. First question is from Denise. How to stop the burning in the throat? The burning goes from the throat all the way down to the stomach. So I just made a video about this. If you're having some kind of acute reflux event, you really want to stop it right now, have a banana. It can actually be way better than even Tums or Gaviscon or even sodium bicarbonate. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name, which is what people have. Mostly Americans just eat Tums, but other places they have sodium bicarbonate. They call it bicarb. Bananas can sometimes do it, and they're not as harmful for like causing rebound reflux. But as you may have noticed if you've watched my other videos, I think that everyone should just get on a long-term reflux plan. I know that it's a lot to commit to. I want you to change your diet. I want you to do a gut microbiome reboot. Like, I want you to get rid of the H. pylori and go crazy, crazy hard on live probiotics. That's really important. The diet's crazy important too, and as part of the diet, I also recommend that people have an allergy test, and then the program in my book is essentially a modified allergy elimination diet and reflux diet put into one, because a lot of times allergies and food sensitivities are causing the reflux, so you got to get rid of them. You have to figure out what they are first before you can get rid of them. So diet, microbiome reboot, so your gut bacteria. Number 3, lifestyle change. If you got this by having too much stress or anxiety, or you've got a lot of pressure, just physical pressure on your guts, you have got to deal with these things. Otherwise, you're just gonna stay sick, and or you'll kind of like get better, but it's just like long term, you're really hurting your health by staying stressed and keeping anxiety and things like that. So as part of this, okay, let's meditate, let's do some mild to kind of easy exercise. If you have extra weight, let's get rid of that, all these things. And then number 4, which is supplements. There are lots of supplements you can take. Some of them can repair the lining of your guts and your stomach. Some of them are good for tightening your Elyes. There's a bunch of them. We don't have time in this video to just list them off, but there's a ton of things that can help you. So these 4 things all at the same time. If you just try some supplements, it's not gonna work. If you're just like, oh, I kind of like cut out cheese, like, no, you have to do a lot of things all at once. That's the truth if you wanna be really better. So that's probably also the answer to a lot of these other questions. Jessica also seconded that question, so thanks, Jessica and Denise. A link to my channel. Yep. Did I incur any breathing difficulty? Oh my gosh, yeah. So I had LPR, so I had this crazy wheeze. I would and actually one of my friends at some point commented to me, he could just hear me breathing, sitting near me, in the same room as me. And I was like, what? No, it's not that bad. He's just yeah. And so I have this video, I'm filming some coyotes or something. And in the background, I'm holding the phone like this and I'm just in the background. It was really bad. Oh, that doesn't make me feel good. Fake wheeze causes a real cough. There's another question. Did I have any walking difficulties with breathlessness, even when talking? That was Tessie. Bear also asked, did I have any breathing problems, like shortness of breath? I'll get to that one in a second. So yeah, shortness of breath, absolutely. I really like to hike, and I would be just any walking at all, especially if I couldn't talk and walk. If I was walking up a slight hill, there's no way I could talk at all. I'd just be kind of gasping for air just all the time. I also, because I was really raspy and hoarse, and I really sometimes I couldn't get any voice out at all. It was really difficult to speak at all. So then on top of that, when I could speak, it would be I'd make it through half a sentence sometimes, and then I would go I have to catch my breath. And then once I caught my breath, I could try to force the sentence out, because I was using a lot of air and just forcing it from down here. It was, oh man, you shouldn't have to be forcing your voice out. That's not very healthy. But that's the only way I could communicate with anyone. If I used that much air right now, I would be screaming at the absolute top of my lungs. And back then it was barely any voice would come out at all. And it was this grindy, terrible mess of a voice. Okay, and this one's really interesting. Because I've never heard anyone ask this or post about this ever. Did I have to yawn to catch a deep breath? Yes, Bear. Oh my gosh, yeah. I've never heard of anyone else having this, and I kind of forgot about it because I don't do it anymore. But I used to I would just feel really kind of exhausted, and then it'd be just going through life. I would kind of feel I was suffocating, and then eventually I'd start feeling I'm just not getting enough air, and I'd try to yawn. Sometimes I'd get the urge to yawn, and I'm not tired, but I'm just not breathing enough. And then I'd feel if I yawn, then I'll get lots of oxygen, and I'd pull it way in, and it's still it would take a couple tries, and the yawning didn't really fix it. It was really strange. So that was probably also LPR related. I also couldn't breathe through my nose. Because I have food sensitivities, which is partially part of the problem that was causing my LPR. So that also gave me sinus problems here, and then my nose was all clogged up. I was having runny nose a lot, and then postnasal drip, really a lot of different symptoms that seemed like sinus and respiratory symptoms that were actually LPR symptoms. So how did I cure it? The same way I cured the whole thing. None of these things really got much better. There were a lot of times that I tried to cure, I'll cure my nose, or I'll cure the postnasal drip, or I'll cure the voice. I tried a lot of things to cure the voice because I had this hoarseness and I couldn't really communicate. Really, none of that worked. Nothing really worked very well until I actually got to the core of the problem, which was doing all of these 4 things that I mentioned in the beginning all at once. Because if you just do any one, you might not actually get the one that's causing the problem. And even if say the diet is causing the problem, say you have some food sensitivities, maybe for me, I'm allergic to rice. Who knew? So even if I cut out the rice forever, once you have had LPR and GERD, you've kind of caused a chain reaction in your body. So you have food sensitivities and you get acid reflux. And then once you have reflux, you cause these other problems. So you're triggering your vagus nerve and you're causing anxiety. And now the anxiety alone can be enough to keep you in this reflux cycle. Or you have H. pylori. And so the H. pylori, which is a bacteria that's in your gut, shouldn't really be there. Small quantities are okay, but like lots of it causes a big problem. So the H. pylori is in there. It's putting lots and lots of hydrogen gas up, and it's going through your esophagus and keeping your lower esophageal sphincter, your LES, open. So it's holding it open. And that is allowing the acid to go through your LES and causing you the burning pain in your esophagus. So the problem is, like, okay, maybe your original problem was H. pylori, but then you had your LES open for a really long time and it started dysfunctioning on its own. So now your problem is not just the H. pylori. You could solve the H. pylori, and sometimes you've now got a dysfunctional LES. You've got to also help that out. So really, like, do all four at once. Like, it's really worth doing, and it's the easiest way. It's the laziest way too, because really, instead of like having to figure out what works, first of all, you just do all the things, and then like you start getting better pretty quickly. And then once you're better, it's easy to kind of test out, like, okay, can I eat rice? Oh, maybe not. Or, you know, you need to do a full 2-month treatment. If it doesn't really matter, you should treat for H. pylori for 2 months, no matter really what your problem is, because the supplements you take for it are basically harmless unless you're pregnant or lactating. So you just do all those things and you get better, and then you just figure out which things you have to do long term. It's really the easy way, instead of trying to figure out like, oh, is it this or is it this or is it not that or that, or like, just do it all. Feel better immediately and then figure it out. So Andy also says he gets short of breath when he's having a flare-up. Yeah, this is an experience that a lot of us have, and definitely I'm one of the people who has that, or who had it, because I just don't anymore. I'm not short of breath. I don't lose my voice. I don't get any pain. Like in the beginning, the LPR didn't really give me very much. I'd get like a little heartburn every once in a while, but by the time I took the PPIs for a couple of years, then I had full on, like I had like chest pain, like my sternum hurt, all of like the cartilage in there all hurt. If you would touch me like this, I'd go through the roof. If you'd even like barely touch me here, it was just like such terrible, uncomfortable pain. Like I can hardly even think about now how much that hurt. It just doesn't even make any sense. But yeah, so a lot of people are having these symptoms when they're having LPR and GERD. I may have gotten off topic there for a second. How do you wean off proton pump medication? Asks Carol. So that's a tricky one. You're almost always going to have rebound reflux if you've been on PPIs for a while. If you're like me and you went from 40 to 80, it's a little bit easier to wean down, because you go to 60, then you go to 40, then you go to 20, then you go to 0. And easier, but like easier as dosage wise, but like, ooh, it's going to wreck you a little bit. Like it's really not good. I don't really know how you do it without having a bunch of reflux for a while. But probably if you're someone who's doing that, the 80 milligrams of PPI wasn't doing anything for me anyway. Like it wasn't working. So I got off them and it got worse, but it was already bad. I was like regurgitating to hear, like just a couple times an hour. Like it had gotten really bad from being a person who has like silent reflux and basically doesn't even know you have reflux, to a person who's like, every minute of every day I was fully aware that I had reflux, and anything like drinking a glass of water, like anything, breathing, like just, walking too fast, anything would make it worse. So the one thing I'll say is if you're on like a 40 milligram pill, usually there's little dots in there, I don't know what they're called, they look like little microbeads. So you can open up the capsule, just make sure you have it the right way around, so the outside is on top, and you just kind of slip the outside off, and you can pour like half of the beads in your mouth and then put the top back on, and like really quickly, like drink some water, wash all of those down, make sure there's none in your mouth. I don't think it'll really harm you if they are in your mouth, because I did that for a while. But it's not going to work either if it's in your mouth, because they're the extended release little capsule bits. And then you can take the rest of the pill the next day. So you're taking like a half dose. I know some places I was getting 20 milligram capsules, which meant that I was taking 4 pills a day. I'd go into the pharmacy and just be like, how much do you have? Can I have all of it? And I leave like a box or two thinking, well, maybe someone else will be dire in need of this stuff, but I'd leave with like a stack. Because some places they sell them in blister packs, and you get these boxes, and they just leave with an entire stack of these boxes, and that's like a 2-week supply. Great, awesome. So yeah, good luck getting off of it. But you could start either on phase 1 or 2, or do kind of a combined. Just go easy on your body with diet. Really get off of acidic foods, so that while you're refluxing, you're not also pouring the acid onto the pepsin. Because when you're refluxing, the pepsin's coming up from your stomach, getting on your esophagus, and then it doesn't matter if it's the stomach acid activating it, or the soda pop you're drinking, or the citrus fruit, or it doesn't matter. If it's acidic and you're pouring it down onto your esophagus, it's activating the pepsin, which is basically then kind of digesting your esophagus. And it doesn't know if that's stomach acid that's activating it, as it should be, or if it's acidic drinks or whatever else like that. So really go on a no acid diet while you're weaning off the PPIs, and start with the coconut yogurt and those kind of foods. Eat like you're doing the first part of the program. But the problem is you can't expect while you're having rebound reflux to actually get the full benefits of fixing your diet and all of that, because your body is you just have so much acid that you can't really fix that. And Barry's question, basically the acid will still be there if you get off the PPIs and then don't change anything else. You're going to be probably worse off than you were before. You'll not only end up back at the beginning, but you might actually be worse than you are. But if you actually heal yourself, heal the core problems that are causing your reflux, you'll be way better off than you will be on long-term on PPIs. Because I have no reflux, and there was no amount of PPI that I could take that would actually even subside my reflux. It was really bad. And this happens to most people. Eventually the PPIs stop working. You just take a bigger dose, and then that stops working. Then you just suffer, and you think about getting a surgery that's probably not going to work. When really, you have a problem, a core problem, that if you fixed it, you would be better. Barry, I hope it's not a life ailment either. It's not really. You can fix this. It's going to take a lot of effort. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's fixable. How to get rid of the feeling that something's caught in your throat and stop the ear pain. Okay, so those things are pretty related. So if you're having reflux, you'll get the feeling something stuck in your throat, and A, you have to solve the core problems of reflux, but B, I would say try this thing that I was doing. You take some sparkling water, and you're not supposed to drink carbonated things. No, mostly you're not supposed to drink soda. So try this. Because if your problem is partially that you're not controlling your LES well enough, either because you have too much bacteria or the Elyes is malfunctioning. You can actually kind of like take your Elyes to the gym. So what you do is you drink the sparkling water and you're gonna immediately wanna burp. It's gonna just like want to just float out of you. So what you're gonna try to do is not let it float out. You're gonna hold it in. So you drink the sparkling water, you hold in the burp, and then as it kind of like goes, like maybe at first you only hold it in a couple seconds, but then you like push it out. You like intentionally make the burp come out. Okay, so you like drink it, hold it in, burp, and then do it again. Drink some more, hold it in for longer. See if you can hold it in for quite a long time. But then do make sure that you release it. You kind of like push out that burp because it's in there, and if you just leave it there, then it's like pressurizing your stomach even more, and it's gonna hold open your Elyes even more, and you're gonna have even worse reflux. But I think you can do it, like kind of strengthen this muscle and learn also, like, what does it feel like when I need to burp? And what does it feel like when I let it out intentionally versus when I just kind of like, it just stays open and the burp comes out? Because those are different things. Yeah, the ear pain is also probably related to the acid getting too high because your eustachian tube kind of goes near where your the acid is ending up. So you just have to do the full program, really. So what I advise people to do is while you are recovering at first from the reflux, you're on the diet, you're doing the microbiome stuff, you're taking the supplements. You can also take Gaviscon, especially if you can get the liquid kind. I think that works a little bit better because when you chew it, it's kind of still chunky when it goes down. But what Gaviscon does is, first of all, it's usually calcium carbonate and then sodium alginate. So the calcium carbonate just like cools it off down there. This is only for really like before bed. And then the sodium alginate, what it does, it goes down your esophagus, and once it gets to your stomach, like there's whatever in your stomach, just maybe it's just acid, maybe there's some food and liquid in there, it just coats the top and creates a float. So then there's this little float in your stomach. And so then if you're starting to reflux, the float goes up and hopefully triggers your Elyes to close. And if it doesn't, the float goes up instead of all of your stomach contents going up. And so it should be protecting you some from the acid. And I would definitely recommend that in the beginning when you're getting off of the PPIs, when you're having a lot of acute symptoms, but it's not a long-term solution. And if you take it for long enough, it's the same thing. Like if you're just dousing yourself in calcium carbonate, what you're doing is basically creating, like, have you ever seen those volcanoes? Like if you put like, you put baking soda, which is I think sodium bicarbonate, and then you put some vinegar, which is just an acid, you put them together, it like explodes, it makes a mess everywhere. That's what you're doing in your stomach. You have gastric acid, and then you're just like putting this base in there, this alkaline thing, and it's just like, whoa, it's creating lots of chaos in there. And then your stomach still wants to be acidic, so that's a problem. If you're constantly taking the level of the acid down, your stomach will just learn that it needs to put a lot more acid in for it to actually digest your food. So these are all temporary solutions. Sue is asking, did I have a hernia or just some indigestion that's gotten better with diet? I do not believe that I had a hernia. At first, I was kind of treating myself as if I did have one. I did some interesting things and some kind of crazy things to try to fix a hernia. So number one, the crazy thing, you drink a lot of water, like way more than a glass. You just drink it until your stomach feels like pretty full. And then you jump off of something hoping that you can like jar your stomach into like coming down where it's supposed to be and out of your diaphragm. That was crazy and may have made my neighbors think that I was nuts. I don't think it worked, but if you actually had a hernia, it might actually work. So saw that on YouTube and some people said it worked for them, so I tried it. I went to a chiropractor, which I think can be really helpful. I had kind of like my stomach just felt like it was kind of stuck. Like I have like physically, like my ribs are pretty, they protrude quite a bit. And so my stomach can kind of tend to like just get stuck under there where it's not supposed to be. Like it's supposed to be in there, but kind of like it shouldn't be stuck. So this chiropractor, I basically told him I was having voice symptoms, and he kind of like analyzed my body and was like, well, your stomach is kind of weird. And I was like, what? Because I don't think he actually even knew that I had reflux at that point. And so then he just kind of did this massage. You kind of get beneath your ribs and just kind of like push it down. And it's more effective if someone else does it, but you can actually do it to yourself. So try that. There's probably also some videos on YouTube about how to do the stomach self-massage and release your stomach. So I would do that if you have a hernia, because it also just feels really good because, you know, you're really tight in your stomach. Like you'll end up like just tight, and then you'll be causing a lot of clenching around there, which makes your reflux worse. Short answer, I don't believe I had a hernia, but I did kind of treat myself as if I had one for a while. So it's possible I had a small one. I don't really know. I don't really think so though. How can you finally cure GERD and LPR without using medicine? 4 steps, guys, from the beginning. That is how I did it. I am no longer on any medicine for over 2 years now. It's been really great. Like, you really can get off the medicine if you just figure out what the core problem is. And unfortunately, your doctor is probably not going to help you find the core cause because it's just a really complicated thing. And they don't have time to ask you 100 questions and then like sit there and figure out which one of these is the problem. And in fact, you don't really have time for that. Just do all the things, figure it out on the way. Like, once you're feeling better, it's a lot easier to figure out if something irritates you or not. When you're still feeling really bad, am I worse today or better? Even that becomes kind of a stressful question. Like, am I worse or better today? If you're feeling really good and you're healing, and you're obviously healing, and you can feel it in your body, then that thought of like, ooh, was this good for me or not? Is this nurturing me or not? Is a lot easier of a question than like, oh, am I worse again today? Like, that's stressful, and the stress also like really doesn't help your LPR. Let's see, Darlene, how do I subscribe? Yeah, you know what, guys? So Chris has a good point. That is, you should get a diagnostic test. If you haven't been to a doctor about LPR or GERD, go to a doctor. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm a patient. It just happens to be, I'm very good at research, and I self-experiment and then like read tons of messages. Like, I'm a patient, and I was a patient for so many years, and I came across so much wisdom, and finally I put together a program that was like totally cohesive and worked like crazy, and now it's working for other people. So I really could not be more happy about that, and I just wanted to share it because this is like a nightmare. Like, you have something that, like, you have a disease, and you go to the doctor, and like they're just like, I don't know, you're on the pills. Like, what more do you want from me? Don't eat any tomatoes. And you're just like, what? It's not helping. So anyway, I'm so psyched to be able to help people, but like, please see a doctor. Like, you still have to go to the doctor. And I also, like, if you've been listening to my other stuff, seeing my blog or watching my videos, I'm constantly telling people to go to an allergist, like get a scratch test, get a blood test, like just start from there. I am definitely not against going to the doctor. I just know that they have certain limitations. They are not gonna fix your nutrition. They're not gonna fix your microbiome. Like, you're gonna have to do these things yourself, and I'm just here to guide you. They also can't hear what your body is saying. Like, you're the one who can hear the signals your body is telling you. If every time you eat pizza, your body screams out, why are you still eating pizza, guys? Like, don't be crazy. Your doctor can tell you don't eat tomatoes all they want, but if you're the one eating pizza, like, Yeah, of course it hurts. So let's see, the next question. Angie, yes, what did you eat to get rid of it, or what you didn't eat? Basically your diet. Oh, and how long did it take you to heal yourself? My diet, the quick version, because it also has some kind of gradations for things that are easy to digest and not. And I broke it down, tried to make it as easy as possible in the book. Because every time I read a reflux book, I just ended up sitting down being like, well, what does that even mean? What do I eat? And then I had to make myself a list and like a chart. And then it didn't really matter how much I stuck to them. Like none of these programs really worked for me. I did the fast track, I did dropping acid, I did a bunch of different things, and they just didn't really work. They definitely weren't the full solution. But anyway, so it goes from, you kind of cut out things that are hard to digest. And then on top of that, no grains, lots of probiotics, no dairy, and no meat. Because meat causes, your body needs a lot of acid to digest meat, so that's not good. Dairy is really irritating for most people, and there's all kinds of stuff about just dairy is not that great for your body. So if you're trying to heal from reflux, it causes a lot of allergies, so just cut it out for a while, maybe forever. But all of these things, at least do them for some months and see what happens. Grains are just pretty much horrible for your guts. Like if you can have leaky gut, or like a lot of people have food sensitivities to them, and you won't know necessarily by having a food allergy test. You have to actually cut them out. And then gluten, for example, if you cut it out, you actually need to cut it out for 90 days because you'll see the results probably before that. But if you cut it out for 2 days and you don't feel a difference, like that's not surprising because there's still lots of gluten in your body. There's lots of these, like, I don't know what they're called when they're negative phytochemicals. It's not coming to me right now. But basically grains have like anti-nutrients, and they're like really hard on your body. They're hard to digest. And a lot of people have trouble with them, so just cut them out. So that's kind of the summary. And the probiotics, obviously, like, you gotta have good probiotics in your guts, like lots and lots of them, actually colonizing your gut. So that means sometimes you need to be eating a lot of live probiotics, because you might drink them and then most of them die. They don't necessarily survive in there, especially if you have H. pylori. The H. pylori might be out competing the good ones. So it's kind of a project. You need to do a lot of good bacteria. So all of those things, that's the main summary of what to eat. What were my symptoms? I have postnasal drip and throat clearing. Yeah, postnasal drip, throat clearing, sinus things, difficulty breathing. In the beginning, I only had a little bit of actual chest pain, but I would occasionally get this like pain like actually between my ribs. Like that was a gross feeling. I had tons of anxiety. I lost my voice. My symptoms list, like every day that I think about it, I kind of think of something else that was like, oh yeah, that was reflux too, that I just don't have anymore. So tons and tons of these symptoms. Yeah, I had sore throats all the time. I had the lump in my throat feeling. I had runny noses all the time. My allergies, like I have a little bit of seasonal allergies, but like, no, most of that was not allergies. Most of that was like sinus and whatever symptoms from the reflux going way up and ending up as airway reflux. Yeah, hoarse voice and pain while talking. Yes. Okay, let's see. One more question. Did I try betaine HCl? Sorry, I can't read today. Yes, I did. And I think it's really great to try. So I tried the I don't know how to say it, betaine HCl. The hydrochloric acid is what it is. And I tried it with pepsin. So you take it, and what you kind of do is you take it and then you see if the burning gets worse or better. Because if you have low acid and you take the HCl, the hydrochloric acid, the theory is, and I think it's a good theory. If your problem is low acid, then you put the acid in there and then it triggers your LES and your LES actually closes. And then like everything's solved. So some people actually do see success just taking the hydrochloric acid, which is really cool. If the PPIs are working really well for you, it's fairly unlikely that that's gonna work. It's mostly people who've been diagnosed with reflux for whom the PPIs never really worked. If you're one of those people, yeah, try the hydrochloric acid. Be careful and really like read up about what you're looking for in terms of symptoms, because you're adding more acid to your stomach, and if you keep refluxing it up, it's not good. It's kind of like a little bit dangerous, but you'll know really quickly. You just do it as a little experiment. Like, I have a whole bottle of stuff. Maybe I've gotten rid of it now, but I don't think I have. Like, I took a couple pills and like I got so significantly worse that I was like, okay, it's not that. But yeah, if you have low acid and that was your original problem, then the HCl should help you significantly. D-limonene. Yes, D-limonene is fantastic. I recommend D-limonene. Are there any side effects? Yeah, the HCl, obviously you could reflux the HCl, and that's hydrochloric acid. Like, it's really going to be strong. You're going to have significant burning in your esophagus. It's going to be really awful. How long did I have to keep up omeprazole? Well, I was on it for years, like I said before, and my dose escalated, but then I went off of it and tried all these different diets, and they didn't work. And then I wasn't on it at all when I started my program. And I forgot to answer the question before. So I started my program and I thought I would give it like 6 months, and then by then I need to be seeing progress, or I just kind of give up and I'm gonna have reflux forever. But actually, the good news is, like, within 2 weeks, like literally 2 weeks, I was so shocked. Within 2 weeks, I was feeling so much better and my voice was getting really strong. I wasn't really having these like crazy reflux events anymore. I still had I had reflux, but it wasn't the constant burning and the constant pain and the like tension all over my body and just like feeling like death all the time. Like, that was like done in 2 weeks. It was really cool. And then, you need to really keep the program up pretty heavily for 2 months, especially because you won't really get rid of the H. pylori until the end of 2 months. But wow, I got better really fast. And probably by the end of 2 months, like after the end of 1 month, because some of the pills I basically bought 1 month worth and I needed to reorder. And I was kind of like, do I even need these? Like, I'm fine now. But yeah, you do. Like, keep doing the program for a while, for longer than you think, because actually, like, your baseline of health is so bad that you actually don't even, like, I definitely didn't even know that, like, actually my health, it's possible for it to be like here, like so far in the sky, and I would have been thrilled to be like here, like totally thrilled. And so basically after a month I was there, but I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep going. And just like the next month was here, and then like there was still like all this room to keep getting better, like over the next year. But you don't have to keep doing the program for a year. You need to commit to to like a really heavy 2 months of the program. And then by then you should have kind of done some experimenting and figured out kind of like what the core problems are and which of these things you need to keep and which you don't. And some of that's really easy. Like, yeah, keep doing probiotics, and some of the supplements, like just keep taking them. I have a chart that kind of tells you how long you should take them and under which conditions you can stop. So that stuff's pretty simple. But yeah, like if you find food allergies, like you're not going to eat them anymore. I don't eat any grains still. It's been 2 years. And I don't eat milk, and I don't eat meat. And probably if I was super, super wanting to, I could change those things. But I just don't. But I do eat raw onions sometimes. And I do eat Indian food, which is like tons of onions and tons of tomato and kind of spicy and like no big deal. Like I can have that. And now I can actually have chocolate even. Like I kind of can only a little bit have chocolate because like I'll be like, a couple squares and I'm like, oh, I don't feel any reflux. And then I eat the rest of the bar. And the next day I'm like, still no reflux. And then I eat another bar. And then same like another day later, then I'm just like, oh, I still feel great. I'm gonna eat another bar, like an entire other bar of chocolate, like every day for like 4 or 5 days. And then of course I get this little tingle that's like, it's not quite, it's like the mildest reflux you can imagine, but I'm really sensitive, like really am paying attention because I'm eating bars of chocolate for 5 days. And I'm like, okay, like that's enough. I gotta stop. And because I'm allergic to rice, if I eat rice, I immediately get reflux and like start losing my voice. So there are some things to keep up with. But it depends on your body. Like most of you are probably not allergic to rice. You're not gonna have to give that up for life. But it's also not that good for you. So once you're off it, especially you go off it for 90 days and you feel so much better, like you might be tempted to have it just because it's fun, but like, oh, I feel so much better and my athletic ability is so much higher and like my recovery time and my energy levels and like my happiness levels and my anxiety is like almost nothing, and like all of these things that were so horrendous in my life are just like... only one more question. So the last question is, what tightens the LES? This is a great question. So like I said before, the carbonated water trick, try that. It's cool, and it's like going to the gym for your LES. There's a couple supplements, but the main thing I would say is if you are vitamin D deficient, that can really make your LES dysfunction. And a lot of people are vitamin D deficient. If you are not getting literally 15 minutes of full midday sun on your skin, like on a majority of your skin every single day, it's pretty likely that you're vitamin D deficient. That is just the most effective way to get vitamin D. If you're just, oh, I drink milk and there's vitamin D in there, like most of that is not ending up in your bloodstream. There's also like some ways you can get the vitamin D in your bloodstream a little bit better. So yeah, try the little trick with the carbonated water. There's a couple other supplements. They need enough explanation that I'm not going to do that right now. But vitamin D, like really, if you're deficient, it's so important that you fix that. So I'm just going to wrap it up now. It's getting a little bit dark. Let me know how I can help. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, just put them below in the comments and I'll get around to all of those. Hopefully either with a response on here or actually a video response, because I'm going to make lots of videos coming up here soon. So thanks for stopping by. Love you guys, and I wish you all the best in your health. Bye.